The insistent chirp of my phone jolted me awake. It was still dark outside, that pre-dawn gloom that always felt heavy and oppressive. I fumbled for the phone, blinking away the remnants of sleep. A new voicemail. Weird, I never get voicemails, especially not this early. "Sarah, darling," the voice on the other end chirped. The voice was unmistakable, warm and loving, laced with the familiar lilt of my Grandma Rose. Except, Grandma Rose had been gone for almost a year now. My breath hitched in my throat. Just wanted to call and say good morning, sweetheart. Remember to eat a good breakfast before school. And don't forget to wear your lucky socks for the math test. The message ended with a gentle chuckle, the sound sending a shiver down my spine. There had to be a logical explanation. A glitch in the system, a prank call, anything. I brushed it off, a knot of unease settling in my stomach nonetheless. The rest of the day was a blur of classes and forced cheer. But the voicemail gnawed at me. Grandma Rose wouldn't have called me sweetheart in years, not since I was a little kid. And the lucky socks thing? That was a childhood ritual we'd shared, long forgotten. That night, as I lay in bed, another voicemail notification popped up. My heart hammered in my chest as I listened. This time, Grandma Rose's voice was strained, laced with a tremor I'd never heard before. "Sarah, listen carefully," the message began. "Something's wrong here. They're not who they seem. Don't trust." The message cut off abruptly, replaced by a static hiss. Panic clawed at my throat. This was more than a glitch. Fear replaced the initial shock. Who was Grandma Rose talking about? What wrong was happening? The voicemails continued over the next few days, growing increasingly frantic. Grandma Rose spoke of a darkness, a secret she'd kept hidden. Her voice pleaded for help, for me to find something, anything, in the basement. The basement. A dark, cavernous space I rarely ventured into, filled with dusty boxes and forgotten relics of my childhood. Now, it felt like a looming threat, a place that held the key to this horrifying mystery. Taking a deep breath, I grabbed a flashlight and ventured downstairs. The air hung heavy, the silence broken only by the creak of my footsteps. Dust motes danced in the flashlight beam as I navigated the labyrinth of boxes. Then, I saw it. A loose floorboard at the back of the basement, almost hidden by a stack of old trunks. My heart pounded as I pried it open, revealing a dark space beneath. Curiosity warred with fear, but the desperate pleas in the voicemails propelled me forward. With trembling hands, I squeezed into the cramped space. Cobwebs brushed against my face, and the air was thick with the smell of mildew. There, in the corner, I saw it, an antique phonograph, its polished wood dulled by time. A single record lay on the spindle.as. I placed the needle on the record. A scratchy hiss filled the darkness. Then, a voice, weak and gasping, but filled with unmistakable love. Grandma Rose. "Sarah," the voice rasped. "They're coming for me. I'm trapped. There's a room, behind the bricks." The recording ended with a choked scream, followed by a sickening thud. Tears streamed down my face as the full weight of the situation slammed into me. The voicemails weren't glitches. They were desperate pleas from beyond the grave. My family, the loving home I'd grown up in, held a dark secret. And Grandma Rose, trapped and tormented, was reaching out from beyond the veil for help. With trembling hands, I stumbled back to the main part of the basement. My eyes darted around, landing on the seemingly innocuous brick wall at the far end. Picking up a metal rod, I started prying at the bricks. One by one, they gave way, revealing a hidden passage. The revelation chilled me to the bone, but the memory of Grandma Rose's scream spurred me on. I had to know. I had to help her, even if it meant facing whatever darkness awaited me in the hidden room. Clutching the flashlight tighter, I stepped into the unknown, a knot of dread tightening in my stomach. The voicemails were just the beginning. Now, the real horror was about to unfold. The passage was narrow and damp, the air thick with the smell of earth and decay. Each step forward felt like venturing deeper into a nightmare. The flashlight beam danced on uneven stone walls, revealing cobwebs and what looked suspiciously like claw marks. The silence was broken only by the ragged rasp of my own breathing. After what felt like an eternity, the passage opened into a small, dusty room. Cobwebs draped the single dusty window, and a thick layer of grime covered everything. In the center of the room stood a rocking chair, swaying gently back and forth despite the lack of any breeze. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just any hidden room. This was a place of torment. A guttural growl echoed from the shadows, and I whipped the flashlight around, revealing nothing but empty space. The rocking chair creaked ominously, the sound sending shivers down my spine. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind extinguished my flashlight, plunging me into complete darkness. Panic surged through me, the oppressive silence broken only by the frantic pounding of my heart. I reached into my pocket for my phone, the faint light a beacon in the suffocating darkness. The screen illuminated a horrifying scene. A figure stood hunched over the rocking chair, its back to me. It was tall and gaunt, its skeletal frame barely concealed by tattered rags. As I watched, transfixed by terror, the figure slowly turned its head. The phone slipped from my grasp, clattering to the dusty floor. The creature's face was a grotesque mask of decay, its eyes glowing with an unnatural red light. A raspy voice, filled with malice, echoed in the room. "You shouldn't have come here, child." The creature lunged, its long, skeletal fingers reaching for me. I screamed, scrambling back, tripping over debris in the darkness. Just as its cold grip was about to close around my ankle, a deafening boom resonated through the room. Bricks rained down from the ceiling, dust filling the air. Coughing and spluttering, I scrambled to my feet. The creature was gone, vanished amidst the debris. Disoriented but alive, I stumbled towards the opening of the passage, a sliver of light filtering through. With a final, terrified glance back at the collapsed room, I clawed my way back into the main basement. The weight of what I'd seen settled heavily on me. The voicemails, the hidden room, the monstrous figure. It was all a horrifying truth I could barely comprehend. My phone, thankfully, had survived the fall. The screen displayed a missed call, an unknown number. Hesitantly, I pressed redial. A voice, raspy but familiar, filled my ear. "Sarah, it's me, Grandma Rose. You did well, darling. Get out of there. Don't look back." The call ended abruptly. Tears streamed down my face, a mixture of relief and terror. I raced up the basement stairs, the flickering lights and familiar clutter a welcome sight. The hidden room, the creature, the voicemails, they were all a horrifying secret now buried beneath the collapsed passage. But the knowledge gnawed at me. What had happened to Grandma Rose? Who, or what, was the creature? The questions swirled in my head as I called the police, my voice shaky as I reported a break-in and a hidden room in the basement. They arrived, skeptical at first, but the collapsed passage and the disturbed bricks spoke for themselves. They searched the debris, but found nothing. No sign of the creature, no explanation for the hidden room. In their eyes, it was all a scared teenager's imagination. But I knew the truth. The voicemails might have stopped, but months that followed were a blur of grief, police reports, and a gnawing sense of unease. The police investigation eventually hit a dead end, the collapsed room attributed to faulty construction, and my claims of a creature dismissed as trauma-induced hallucinations. Sleep became a stranger, replaced by nightmares of skeletal figures and echoing whispers. The house, once a place of comfort, now felt oppressive, the silence thick with unspoken secrets. I started researching local history, scouring dusty archives and interviewing old-timers. One evening, at a local diner known for its greasy spoon charm and even greasier gossip, I met Miss Eleanor, a wrinkled woman with eyes that held the wisdom of 1,000 whispered stories. Over lukewarm coffee, I hesitantly mentioned the hidden room and the creature. To my surprise, Miss Eleanor didn't scoff. Instead, a flicker of recognition crossed her face. She spoke in hushed tones about a dark legend whispered through generations, a tale of a malevolent entity they called the Wendigo. According to Ms. Eleanor, the Wendigo was a creature driven by insatiable hunger, capable of possessing the living and twisting them into monstrous reflections of itself. She spoke of a time, generations ago, when a harsh winter drove a group of settlers to desperate measures. One by one, they succumbed to the Wendigo's influence, turning on each other in a frenzy of cannibalism. The story sent chills down my spine. Could the creature in the hidden room be the Wendigo of local legend? And if so, what had happened to Grandma Rose? Miss Eleanor's eyes held a flicker of pity. "Sometimes, child," she rasped, The dead whisper secrets the living can't hear. But sometimes, the whispers bleed through, a warning from beyond the veil. Her words fueled a renewed determination within me. I wouldn't let Grandma Rose's sacrifice be in vain. Armed with the legend of the Wendigo and a newfound courage, I started researching ways to banish the creature, scouring dusty occult texts for rituals and protective measures. The research was a terrifying rabbit hole, filled with symbols I couldn't decipher and rituals bordering on insanity. But amidst the cryptic language, I found a glimmer of hope, a banishing ritual that required specific ingredients and a place of power. The place of power, according to the text, had to be connected to the creature's origin. With a heavy heart, I knew where I had to go, the collapsed passage in the basement. The thought of returning to that place of darkness filled me with dread, but the memory of Grandma Rose's terrified voice spurred me on. Gathering the necessary ingredients, sage, salt, and a ceremonial dagger, I ventured back into the basement. The air hung heavy with the smell of damp earth and a faint, unsettling chill. With trembling hands, I cleared away the debris, creating a makeshift space around the collapsed area. As I arranged the items for the ritual, a low growl echoed from the depths of the rubble. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I pressed on, chanting the words from the ancient text, my voice barely a whisper above the pounding in my ears. The air crackled with an unseen energy. Shadows writhed on the walls as the chanting reached its crescendo. A deafening roar erupted from the collapsed room, followed by a sickening thud. Silence descended, heavy and oppressive. Exhausted but exhilarated, I approached the rubble. A single, skeletal finger protruded from the debris, a final testament to the creature's defeat. Relief washed over me, bittersweet and tinged with sorrow. The ordeal had taken its toll. But as I stood there, bathed in the faint light filtering through the basement window, I felt a strange sense of peace. Grandma Rose's voice, faint but clear, echoed in my mind. "Thank you, Sarah. You are braver than you know."